Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar for Edpuzzle. Of course, in this session, we'll cover everything that we need to know to use Edpuzzle in class. You can get the slideshow at the short link you see on screen here, bit.ly/NEO lowercase Edpuzzle, bit.ly/NEO Edpuzzle. That will get you this slideshow. So welcome everybody. My name's Dan. I'm a technology integration specialist at NeoNet. Here's my email. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Anything about Edpuzzle, feel free. Again, you can also get this slideshow from this link here listed. You don't worry about that sign in here button. That's only if you were here live with us. So here's our to-do list that we'll cover in Edpuzzle today. So we'll look at what Edpuzzle is, how to get started, creating your own Edpuzzle videos, how Edpuzzle works with us actually creating assignments and sending them off to your students. We'll also take a look at grading and creating a flipped lesson. All right, so to get started here, Edpuzzle is a website that allows you to create video quizzes. You can pull in basically any video from YouTube or Khan Academy, or upload your own video and insert questions inside of a video. The whole idea is the video pauses at certain points whenever you set it, and a question will pop up. Students will answer that question, hit next, and they simply continue watching the video from there. You can also integrate with Google Classroom. You can also add audio tracks or notes, and the videos will play right inside of Edpuzzle's website with no ads or pop-ups or auto-playing another irrelevant video. And the cool thing is there's no account needed to view videos. You can actually make shareable links that you can just go send out to others without even having to sign in. So to get started, you'll just go to edpuzzle.com and you can use the Google one-click or sign up with an email. You are limited to 20 videos with the basic free account. The only upgrade currently is a school-wide upgrade that upgrades you, I believe, to unlimited. So it depends on your school. Some schools subscribe to Edpuzzle, but you can still definitely get away with using the free version. You can add classes manually or import them from Google Classroom. It's not required to use Edpuzzle to make a classroom, but of course, when you actually have students, that will help you out. The videos that you like, you'll be able to save to your own library, and then you'll be able to use them over and over again. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into Edpuzzle here. So again, it's just edpuzzle.com, and here's what you'll see as soon as you log in. So you can see the first page that you come to on the left-hand side is My Content. And then from here, this lists all of the videos that you have listed here on your account. I'm on the free version, so I'm of course limited to those 20 videos. For my purposes here, I'm actually going to delete some to make some space for us to play with here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete these. And let me just delete those real quick. There we are. And now, of course, that kind of frees up a little bit of room for us to play around with here today. Other things down the left-hand side real quick, under the Home tab, this is where you'll see any sort of suggested or trending videos that are coming up either around your area or anything that, depending on what you search for in the past. You can also go under curriculum where you can look by different grade levels. You'll also be able to see other videos that other people on your domain have created, and you can even filter those down by grade level or subject. Other things down the left-hand side as well. You can also go to these popular channels. These are other things that people right around the Edpuzzle world have made. That's another nice thing about Edpuzzle. You can go and find tons and tons of pre-made video quizzes that other teachers have made that have put them in Edpuzzle, and you'll be able to find them, use them as is, or you can even change them around. We'll look at how to do all that stuff. But anyway, continuing down the left-hand side, of course, you can go and search around Edpuzzle. You can also search right from YouTube as well. And there's other things like Khan Academy and National Geographic and TED Talks and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, if you're ever looking for something specific, there's two ways that you can find them. One is you can do the search way up in the top left, and let's just say we're looking for fractions, for example, and we can just do a search. And of course, this will give us all these different search results. And you'll be able to filter through and read through all this stuff. Up in the top right, you can even filter by different subjects. Another thing you can also do is if you found a video online already, like on YouTube, for example. Let me jump over to YouTube real quick. You can even pull in a YouTube video. I'll just search for fractions as well. And if I find a video that I like, maybe I'll take this one here. All we have to do is take the URL up in the top and copy it, bring it back over into Edpuzzle, and just put that in the search bar. So we can just take the web address for that particular video and search for it from there, and then that'll take us in where we can go in then and edit the video further. We'll talk more about editing in just a minute. All right, so after you find a video that you like, you'll be able to edit it and do a couple of different things. You'll be able to trim it, meaning you can have it start or end at a different time. So if a video is too long, you can kind of chop off pieces that you don't need. And then you'll also be able to add in audio tracks, depending if the video allows it, audio notes, and then of course, quiz questions. And then at the end, you just click done, and then you're able to go assign it. So let's take a look at how to take a video and then go and make it into a video quiz. So I did a search for, I'll search for fractions again here. And let's say we're looking through and we want to find a video. Let's find one that doesn't have any questions attached to it yet. So the way to tell if a video has questions attached to it already or not is that these little bulbs that show up next to each question. So like this first question here says fraction basics, and this little 6 right here says, hey, there's 6 questions or notes already attached to it. We'll talk more about pre-made video quizzes in just a little bit. Of course, we can look for one that doesn't have anything attached to it yet. So like here's this one, fraction basics. Looks like it's from YouTube. It's from the Khan Academy channel, so we know it's going to be good. And notice it doesn't have that little bulb there, so it doesn't have any questions attached to it. So we'll just simply click right on top of the video. And then over on the right-hand side, we'll go and find edit. And that'll take us into the beginning of our editing page. And as you may remember, if I took the URL from a YouTube video directly and copied it and put it into the search bar in YouTube, it takes us right back to this exact place. Okay, so that's a couple ways to get to the same place. All right, so now we have this video here, and we're going to chop it down a little bit. So notice up in the top, we have our first section, we're under cut. This is where we can chop off and trim some pieces down. We can't take a piece out of the middle, unfortunately, but we can have it start or stop at a different time. So let's say for the first thing here, maybe we don't need it maybe we don't need it to start until maybe about a minute in. So we can just simply drag this blue bar over as far as we need. So maybe I'll have it start at about a minute in, something like that. And same thing for the ending. So again, if I want it to end a little bit sooner, maybe I don't need, the last couple of minutes. Again, I can do the same thing and just drag this little blue bar over until however far I need. Of course, I can watch the video and pick out the sections that I need. So then once I have it trimmed down, the next option across the top here is voiceover. Some videos will let you do voiceover, some. So notice in this case here, it says, sorry, voiceover is now blocked to comply with YouTube's terms of service. So if it comes from a YouTube video, you're probably not going to be able to do a voiceover. But basically the idea is you would replace the audio that comes with the video and you can voice over it. Okay, but looks like from YouTube videos, you can't really do that. But if you do a video from a different place or if you upload your own, you will be able to. Basically, all that you would do is there would be a record button and it would just record your voice and you'd just speak into your microphone, and then the video would play and you'd be able to basically just narrate over the video. All right, so the biggest thing here, the main reason to be here, is under this questions tab at the top. All right, so this is how we can actually make a video quiz. All right, so to do this, basically all we're going to do is just start playing the video.
Let's look at each of them.
And we'll just reach a certain point here. So maybe about 6 seconds in here, I want to ask my first question. So I'll pause it at whatever point in the video I want the question to pop up, and then I'll go ahead over to the right-hand side and I'll add in whatever type of question I want. So I can do a multiple choice question, I can do an open-ended question, or I can do a note. So multiple choice, of course, these are your good old-fashioned multiple choice questions. You'll put in your question here. Maybe I'll say how much of the square is not shaded in red. And then we'll put in our choices here. 2/4 or 3/4. Of course, 3/4 is the right answer. I can set the right and wrong answers for a multiple choice question. I can add more choices if I'd like. So maybe I'll add one more as another decoy. Oh, make sure it's set to the incorrect answer. And then if I'm happy with that, I'll go ahead and say save. The video will continue playing. And then, of course, I'll just kind of keep on watching the video, pause it again at whatever other point that I want to add another question. And maybe at this point, I want to go ahead and put in an open-ended question. So I can put this one in here. And so you can basically ask whatever you like, of course. The one thing to note here about open-ended questions, these ones are not going to auto-grade. We'll take a look at what grading looks like in just a little bit. It's really easy to do, but unfortunately you can't auto-grade with these open-ended questions. But with that said, we'll ask our open-ended question. How much of the square is shaded? And you can put in that question. And again, we basically just keep on repeating from there, keep watching the video as much as we need to. And then we can also add in a note maybe at this point. Now, a note is not really a question. It's basically just something to it's like a pop-up to let students know of something. So if you want to just kind of like tell kids, all right, pay attention to what he's about to say here, or think about X, Y, or Z. So something that just kind of grabs their attention. Notice you can also put in links or pictures. You can also put in math formulas if you need to from here. With notes, you can also add in a voice note as well, especially good for IEP, ESL students, really good for foreign language teachers as well. And maybe for this one, I'll just say, think about what he just said. And we'll say continue. And then again, we just simply keep repeating from there. You can add as many questions as you like to this Edpuzzle quiz. And whenever you're ready, up in the top right, we'll just say finish. Then we have this ready to go quiz. From here, we can just watch the video again. I'll just turn the volume down so it doesn't blare us out here. And this is exactly what kids will see. The video will start playing, and in a few seconds, we'll get our first question. Notice on the right-hand side, it kind of gives us a little preview of when the questions pop up. There we go. The video automatically paused. On the right-hand side, we got our first question. How much of the square is not shaded in red? So 3/4. Submit. Yay, got it right. And we can say continue. And the video will keep on playing. I'll skip ahead to our next question here. We'll put in our short answer question. Notice it says to be graded. Like I said, unfortunately, you can't have the open-ended questions auto-graded for you. But as we'll see in just a little bit, it's pretty easy to go through and grade them. Then we just say continue. And we'll skip ahead a little bit. And we'll look at what a note looks like here. There we go. So the video paused again. And there's this note. Again, the notes you really don't interact with very much. It's not an actual question. But of course, you can add in whatever sort of note you want in there. You can add in an audio clip, a picture, a link to another place, whatever you want, whatever kind of the occasion calls for. All right, and then once you are good from there, if everything kind of looks good, and I want to say, okay, this is a pretty good activity, the questions are good, I think it's ready for my students to go and do, what we'll do is we'll go over on the right-hand side and we'll go find assign. From here, we'll be able to assign this video quiz to any of our attached classrooms that we have. Now, speaking of attached classrooms, you can pull in your own Google Classrooms from this Add New Class button if you haven't done this yet. And then you can add a new class. You're manually here, put in a name, a description, and choose the class type. Or you can come up to the top and do Import Class and do Google Classroom. Now, the benefit of doing this Google Classroom thing is I'll actually pull this one in from my Google Classroom. What this does is it pulls in the roster of students from that Google Classroom, and then that's an easy way for you to share to pull those students in, so you don't have to try to make sure all your students are in. As long as they're in the Google Classroom, if you import the classroom to Edpuzzle, all those students will come with you. Okay. All right. So then once we have our classroom set where it's going to be assigned, then on the right-hand side, we'll set our start and due date. So if I want to have this available right now and maybe have it due at a certain time, maybe I'll set the due date for, I'll give them until Friday to do it, Friday at midnight to do it. I'll say save. Then we have this other really good button here called prevent skipping. So what this does is students won't be able to fast forward in the video. They actually have to watch the video and wait for the questions to pop up. And now the nice thing about that is it still lets them rewind if they need to. They can rewind as much as they want. They just cannot fast forward if you have this prevent skipping thing turned on. You can also turn on closed captions as well. That's always a nice thing to have, depending on if it's available or not. It depends where the video comes from. But of course, you know your students best. So if your students need it, of course, you can flip it on. Not all videos will have it available, but a lot of them from YouTube, especially from the bigger YouTube channels, of course, will be available. And then our last button here that says post on Google Classroom, if you flip that on, it's going to automatically post this assignment for you over in Google Classroom, so the kids will have a link to go and watch the video right away. Okay, so I'll go ahead and turn all that stuff on. And then if I'm ready, I can go ahead down to the bottom and do assign. And just like that, this assignment is live. I only have one student in my Google Classroom. That's why I only have one student showing up here. Of course, if you have more kids, you would have a lot more students, of course. So let's take a step back and look at what this might look like from the student's perspective. Okay. We'll go into creating your own video in just a little bit. Let me jump to a student's account here. So this perspective here is a student's account, and this is what he'll do when he goes in to go do his Edpuzzle activity. We'll see that Edpuzzle activity is already posted here on this first kind of homepage of Google Classroom. If I go into the stream, depending on if you have stream, if you have classwork in the stream enabled, it'll show up there. It'll also show up in your upcoming if you set a due date for it over on the left-hand side. And of course, you can also go under classwork. You'll also notice this Edpuzzle video is not under any of my topics that I've made earlier. As the teacher, you can still come in here and move this stuff around whenever you need, but from Edpuzzle side, you can't pick, unfortunately, you can't have it automatically go to a certain topic. Okay, but anyway, here's this activity. You'll simply click on the activity and open it up. It takes them right into Edpuzzle. He'll, of course, sign in with Google. And then I'll take him into this video quiz.
This represents 1/4.
All right, and from here, he comes through and starts answering questions. Again, he has to watch the video. The video automatically pauses. He'll put in his answer. The multiple choice one, of course, auto grades for him. And notice if I try to skip ahead, if you can kind of see it, it says locked if I try to fast forward, and it doesn't do anything. You can only rewind because I turned on that option for blocking skipping. All right, and then I'll put in my next answer here, and submit, and continue. And again, depending on the video, you can have some closed captioning turned on. And so maybe if we need any sort of subtitles, you can go through all those choices there. So if I need, Romanian subtitles, for example, they'll show up. Okay. Again, that kind of depends on different videos. May or may not show it up. And all right, then again, there was our next note. And now we basically have to watch the rest of the video. Notice on the right-hand side, this message automatically comes up if there is a gap between the last question and the end of the video. So this says watch the whole video in order to turn in the assignment. So even though the kid here finished watching or finished answering all the questions, there's no more interactive things to do here. He hasn't officially turned it in until the video is done playing. All right, so we'll wait just a little bit, wait another 30 seconds here for this video to finish. And just like before, notice he still can't skip ahead. He can rewind if he wants to, either by dragging the timeline or hit this little rewind button. Once he does do a rewind, he can go back up as far forward as he's made it before. So if he made it, a minute and a half in, he can rewind back to 15 seconds in, and then fast forward back again to the farthest point in the video that he's gotten. All right, so then once he finishes his video, that marks it as finished for the teacher. He can come and look at his results. He'll see how much of the video he has completed, how many correct responses, and depending on if you have a open-ended questions included in here, it may show the grade. Of course, if you do nothing but multiple choice questions, then of course it can easily be auto-graded and they can see their score right away. All right, so just like that, our student has done his part. That's all the student has to do. So we're going to jump back to the teacher side again. And what we want to do is go and look at how to grade. All right, so to go in and grade, there's two ways that we can do it. You can either go up into My Classes up in the top right-hand side or into Gradebook. If we go into Gradebook first, we'll go into whichever classroom that we need to from this little drop down. I'll go find My Classroom. Here's that fractions activity. So you have to just basically go into your gradebook and find that particular activity. Again, you can also do that from going under My Classes on the right-hand side, top right-hand side, and go find that classroom in your list here. The ones that have a little red dot like that means you have new assignments turned in from students. And again, we can just click on that activity, and that'll take us into this grading page. So once we are ready to grade, we can either click on this however many ready to grade, or we can click on that individual student. And so here's our student's activity that he turned in for us. And so that question was how much of the pink square was graded, was shaded. So if that's correct, I can give him that score. And I'm going to go into show all at the top here to see all of his answers. And so I can see exactly how he answered. And then I can see how he answered for that short answer question. All right, and once you're done with that, we can simply just jump back out into our grading page. We can click on that individual student if we need to. This is another way to grade. So you can either grade kind of everybody all at once or student by student. And you can do that either way. And if you grade when you go student by student, notice you have this previous and next student up in the top right. And then once you have all of your students' work graded, you can actually export the grade from Edpuzzle over to Google Classroom. Now, but there's a little caveat to doing that. What you may want to do first, let me jump back into my Google Classroom real quick. What you may want to do is change the point value of the assignment. When you first create a Edpuzzle assignment, let me go in here and edit. When you first create an Edpuzzle assignment, it defaults to being worth 100 points. Okay, so if you want that to change, you'll have to change that first before you export the grades over from Edpuzzle to your Google Classroom gradebook. So maybe if I only want to make this one worth 5 points, I can do that. Okay, then we'll say save, and we'll update our point value. Notice it already is marked as graded for the student that did that for me. And it says not turned in. Notice it also says 100 out of 5. Again, Edpuzzle does everything by 100, so it just gives you basically a percentage. But what we can do is you won't have to sit there and fix every single one. Imagine if you had 30 kids in this class, you wouldn't have to change every single one. All you have to do is once you change the point value over in Classroom, over on the right hand side when you're back in Edpuzzle's gradebook here, and you're looking at this individual assignment, then we can say export grades to LMS. We do that. Come back over here into Edpuzzle. Let me just give this a refresh. And now notice you got 5 out of 5 points because you got 100. You got 100 out of 100 in Edpuzzle. That equates to 5 out of 5 over here in Google Classroom. Okay. Again, if he got a different score, maybe he got 80 out of 100 points in Edpuzzle, that would equate to 4 out of 5 here in Google Classroom. It would make those conversions for you. It will do decimals as well. So if he got, like a 90 out of 100 in Edpuzzle, it would equate to 4.5 out of 5 over here in Google Classroom. All right. All right, so that was the whole process of finding a video, adding in some questions, sending it to a student, and what it looks like to go in and grade. Now, there's another thing, of course, that you can do, and you can even make your own videos. So if you make your own Screencastify or Loom video, you can make it into an Edpuzzle video quiz. And so it's super easy to do. So first thing you need to do is just download the video from your Screencastify or Loom, and then we'll upload it over into Edpuzzle. So let's just we'll just start with Screencastify first. So you can either get to all your Screencastify videos by clicking on the Screencastify extension and then going into My Recordings, that little play symbol. That'll open up, of course, all the other videos that you've made in your Screencastify before, or you can also go into your Google Drive and go find all of your videos in a folder called Screencastify, and you can just download them from there. The point is, we need just to go find the videos that we made and download them. We do have to download them to our device. And I'll just take this like a World War I review video as an example here. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead over to the bottom right hand side. I'm going to export this as an MP4 and download this thing here. You will want to do an MP4. That's kind of the standard video file type. So we'll download that. Let that download. In the meantime, we'll jump over to Loom. Loom is another really good free video screen recording app. With a school account, you can have the premium version for free. You get unlimited recording time. You get make as many videos as you like, and you can still download them. So of course, you'll go find whatever video that you wanted that you made over in Loom, and then right below the video, if you use Loom, you can do download from here. And while that's downloading, actually I downloaded it earlier, so I'll still be able to use that later. All right, and then once you are ready, just like we said over here, you simply go in, make sure you're under the My Content part over in Edpuzzle, and then you'll select Add Content from the right-hand side. So from Edpuzzle, you go to My Content on the left-hand side, and then all the way over on the right-hand side, we'll find Add Content, and we're going to do Upload a Video. And you can pull in a video from your Google Drive, so that can save you a step if you are doing a Screencastify, because of course Screencastify automatically saves to your Google Drive. or you can choose a file sitting on your computer. And if I do the Loom one to start with, it's going to upload that video into Edpuzzle. And once that is loaded up in there, we can go in and trim the video just like we did before, add in questions, add in notes exactly like we did before. It's just another video sitting out here in Edpuzzle for you to use. All right, and that's pretty much it. So once you have your own video in here, then of course it really just comes down just to managing all the videos that you do. Like I said earlier, in the free version, unfortunately, you only get 20 space for 20 videos in your My Content. So that's kind of the downside, unless your school pays for the premium version. But if you ever need to make space, again, you can just give a click on the little checkbox next to any of the videos that are in your My Content, and then just delete, and you'll be able to get rid of them. All right, and again, so you may, I mean, depending on how much you use it, you may run out of space. So have all those videos in reserve, and if you need to re-upload them, yeah, of course you would unfortunately have to put in those questions all over again if you took them down and put them back up. All right, and here's that the video I made from Loom, and just like we did earlier, we open it up and then go to the right-hand side and do Edit. And then just like earlier, we can cut it down if we need to, add a voiceover. Notice this one did not come from YouTube, so of course I can do my own voiceover. And then we add in our questions exactly like we did earlier. All right, everything from there works exactly the same as we saw. All right, and we already talked about this, but I'll just kind of mention it again real quick. So of course, assigning a video quiz out to your students, you can either do it from a Google Classroom or make your own Edpuzzle classroom, or you can even just take an individual link. So if you want to create your own classroom beforehand, before you start making video quizzes, you can simply just go up to My Classes up in the top right-hand side. And on this little list here, way on the left-hand side, we can go to Add New Class. And then you can either create a new one from scratch or import one from Google Classroom. If you're already using Google Classroom, that's probably the easier thing to do. If not, you can do create a new class and then put in all your information. Okay. Now, like I mentioned, you can even take videos and create assignments, even if you don't have a classroom set up here in Edpuzzle. So the other way to do that is if we go over to the Assign button next to any of our video quizzes, just like before, instead of going to this Assign to Class option, we would go under this Public Links. And so what this would do is, notice it gives us a shareable link that we can go and send out to whoever we want. Okay, you can even take an embed code that you can drop into your LMS if you'd like. You can even change the size here too. But if you copy the link and then go and give it out to whoever, so I'll just kind of paste in this link. Notice it'll take us to this little shareable video. They'll be able to watch the video just like before. Notice if you do the shareable link, there's unfortunately no option to prevent skipping, and you're not going to have it's basically kind of doing this in a anonymous way. Okay. So the workaround here is if students do not have a if students do not have like their own accounts or something like that, students will can still come in here and take the quiz, but the idea would be they would take the quiz and at the end they would like screenshot their score and then send you that screenshot. So I'm just going to run through this real quick here. And I'll just kind of run through. I'm not even really reading the questions. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. And continue. And just to do this real quick here. I'll say continue. And then we'll finish out this video here. Okay, and then of course at the end of the video you can screenshot it and you'll be able to have these little colors of how you answered for each one, and of course you can do a screenshot of each one. Of course, this is kind of a workaround. It's not exactly perfect. It's easiest, of course, if you actually have a classroom put into Edpuzzle. All right, and then of course with grading and tracking student progress, again, to get to the gradebook, you click on a class and then go into the video to see individual students' responses. You can see how much time they've watched in terms of percentage, how many times they've watched it. You would have to, again, grade those typed out short answer responses. And of course, you can also leave comments. That's one thing I didn't show. Let me show that real quick. Let me go into one of my classes here. So either it doesn't matter if it's a multiple choice question or if it's a short answer question, I can still leave a comment for them. And maybe I'll leave another one here. Then if a student wants to come back and look at the comments that you left for them, they can simply just log back in. And of course, this link was saved in Google Classroom for this student, so that's where they would go to go look at that activity. So here I am as a student again, coming back in. They can go into results, or my classes rather, sorry. And that would go under completed and find their activity. And oh, that's where they used to have it. Now they must have moved where they where they did the recorded, or the comments rather. But anyway, so of course you can leave them comments. You can leave, of course, their score, and then of course you can leave their comments over in Google Classroom as well. Then of course, then it just really comes down to different ideas for how to use Edpuzzle in class. So of course, it's a really good thing as a good introduction to a new lesson or unit. So of course, when you're introducing a new topic, or even just doing an expansion activity or something that's very visual, or there's a lot of steps to something, this is a good way to go. Of course, you can do this as a good idea for flipped instruction. So, of course, you can create your own lesson videos in something like Screencastify or Loom, and then you just sprinkle in some questions through Edpuzzle, and just like that, you have some flipped instruction with some questions built in. So students are actually forced to actually watch the video as homework, and that kind of covers the what would normally be the in-class instruction. It's another nice thing for station rotations. You could have a station rotation set up for an Edpuzzle video that teaches students how to use some equipment, or gets them ready for the steps of doing an experiment or something like that. Of course, you can have your own students create their own videos. They don't have to set up for a teacher account, but it's a fun activity. You can also include links and images in the questions section to make it a whole complete assignment, something kind of almost like an idea of a hyperdoc inside of an Edpuzzle video. All right. As we wrap up here, I encourage you to kind of check out this slide here on slide number 11. And it basically talks about using Edpuzzle to create a flipped lesson. That's a really good starting point for using Edpuzzle. So of course, a flipped lesson is the idea of taking the normal direct instruction that you do in class and gives that to kids as homework And that opens up time in class to do those extension activities, to do the more involved, collaboration or projects and things like that together in person, as opposed to doing those higher level extension activities independently at home. Right. So with Edpuzzle, of course, then you can use Edpuzzle to create a video quiz that introduces students to something new. Remember, this is the kind of the thing that students would do as quote unquote homework. So to kind of think about what you would do. Here on slide 11, there's a couple of links here for some inspiration for you. So the first one here is an article from Edpuzzle that talks about how to flip your classroom with Edpuzzle, and it actually gives some pretty good specific examples broken down by subject area. So there's a whole section for math, there's a whole section for languages, social studies, special education, and other. So there's a ton of different suggestions in here. Take the 10 minutes to read it. It's definitely worth it. And the other one here as well, I believe this one was also from Edpuzzle, if I remember correctly, or it's from Common Sense, that's right. And in this one, it also talks, this teacher from Pittsburgh talks about how she's used Edpuzzle to flip her classroom. Again, she gives some examples and some really good ideas. And also you get some comments from some other teachers as well. All right, so here's our to-do list that we started out with here from Edpuzzle. So we looked at what it was, we looked at how to get started, how to get logged in. We looked at how to create your own Edpuzzle, whether it's from one of the pre-made things that's already sitting there on Edpuzzle's website, or if you find a video on YouTube, or if you want to make your own video from Screencastify or Loom, you can also pull those right into Edpuzzle. Then we looked at how to actually make a video quiz, what it looks like for the student to go in and do the quiz, and what it looks like to go in and grade a quiz that your kids did for you. And then at the end, we kind of briefly looked at creating a flipped lesson with Edpuzzle. All right, so that's pretty much going to bring us down to the end. I'll skip past the graduate credit stuff here. Any upcoming sessions that we have coming up over the next few weeks, you are free to check out. All these are free to come to, by the way. These and more are available at training.neonet.org. So in the upcoming weeks, we'll have Flipping Your Classroom, interactive slideshows with Pear Deck, digitizing assignments, a session all about Loom. We'll have an all-day workshop on Beginner G Suite, and we also have another session on 21st century graphic organizers. Again, all those are free to come to. You can sign up here on slide number 14 if you're interested. And that will pretty much bring us down to the end here. If you're here live with us, again, go ahead and give a click on that sign in here button. Again, you can get to the slideshow from this bit.ly link up at the top, bit.ly/NEO, lowercase Edpuzzle. And that's only if you're here live with us. If you're watching this recording, you don't have to worry about that. But that will pretty much bring us down to the end. If you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. So right here on the last slide, dneeson@neonet.org. There's also a quick survey here if you are interested. And with that said, that'll pretty much bring us down to the end. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.